So the federal government may force Starbucks to reopen about 23 stores that they've closed. Federal government is stating, well, based on some of these employees, you guys were shutting these stores down because of they'd either already formed unions or they were going to. Now we need you to reopen these stores because you have violated union law, blocking unionization. Oh, tisk, tisk, Starbucks. If you look at majority of these, where these stores are located, they're in areas where there's shenanigans going on. Let's just say that. Let's get into it. Here we go. You know, we've been hearing so often about all of these store closures and what that looks like. And so many of the times when we see a store closure, oftentimes I will think, that's not really the reason that that store is closing. And I think Starbucks is guilty of that as well. I think they're closing down stores that they're just got some massive safety issues. And oftentimes they won't state that because they just don't want to go down that road and have to take that beat down of, well, no, our city's not bad. That's terrible. You guys can't close it down based on that. Well, if you're not making money and your store employees are in the hot seat because they're having to deal with people bringing knives in, shootings, shoplifting, screaming, harassment, doing drug deals, doing prostitution in the restrooms. Remember that whole deal? Two guys who came into Starbucks and Starbucks said, hey, if you're not a paying customer, you got to go. They said no. Starbucks got in trouble. CEO of Starbucks said, all the restrooms are open for everybody. Well, then all the drug dealers started to go in and prostitution was happening in the restrooms. And then Starbucks said, nope, it's off limits. You know, we've gone through this full cycle. So many of the Starbucks that I know of in Seattle, when I look at them on a map, I'm like, yep, that makes sense. I'd shut that one down too. I would not want to be running that Starbucks that's half a block down the street from the Blade in Seattle, which is arguably one of the two worst locations for all of the shenanigans we always talk about. You know, a little fentanyl selling stolen goods, buying stolen goods, you name it. They've got it between Pike and Pine on 3rd Avenue. And right down the street is one of the Starbucks that got shut down. Starbucks is shutting down. Take a look at this. Starbucks shuts down businesses, locations, I should say, all of the time. Some of them are due to non-performance, meaning they're not making money. Some of them are due to safety issues. Hey, when you've got as many stores as they do, thousands and thousands of stores out there, you're going to shut some down. But what's interesting is the stores they've been shutting down, some of them have had unions established. They've unionized. Well, that's because they're located in blue cities, and this is where things are going. In these blue cities, it's not safe. They don't want to operate these stores. They should have a right to shut them down. Federal government is saying, no. Oh, no, you got to open this back up. You guys violated union laws and whatnot. So union busting. We've done so much of this union busting. And when I look at these stories, I'm like, that's not the whole picture. You guys are cherry picking your facts. So here is a list of the Starbucks store closures. Some of them are in blue cities. Some of them are in Republic states in blue cities, but a lot of these are in what we would call shenanigan type locations, right? All right. Let's just pick a few. Okay. Vancouver. Yeah. San Francisco. Yeah. San Fran, Oakland, Surrey, Vancouver. Yeah. Portland, Maine. Hey, that's shocker for once. We got Michigan. We got San Fran. Everett, Washington, the outlier, Everett, Washington. It's probably on one of their main drags, and it's just a hellhole. Let's be honest. We got New York. When you're shutting down a Starbucks in New York, what are you really saying, right? I mean, come on now. When you're shutting down a Starbucks in San Francisco, what are you really saying? So, so now we're back to 9 of 2023. This is just where we sit. They're shutting a bunch of stores down. Can the feds make them reopen these stores? The United States Labor Agency wants to force Starbucks to reopen 23 stores after it claimed the coffee chain illegally shuttered the locations to block employees from unionizing. This has just been kind of a you-know-what show, hasn't it? It's like these people that work at Starbucks in these stores that are getting shut down, oftentimes you got the blue-haired, you know what I'm talking about? You got that whole thing going on, and, you got the workers of the world unite, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'd probably shut that store down just based on basic principle as well. You guys are Looney Tunes. The company shut down its locations in July 2022. The closed stores were located in a number of large cities, including Seattle. Kind of political direction to see. Oh, yeah, wildly far left. Philadelphia. Oh, yeah, far left. Los Angeles. Oh, that is not a right-run town, is it? No, that's not a Republican-run city, is it? Portland. I'm going to have to think hard about that one. Yeah, far left. Chicago. Do you see the pattern here? Yeah, that's... The National Labor Relations Board stated in a Wednesday complaint that 8 of the Starbucks locations were unionized at the time they were shut down. Federal agency claimed that the company failed to notify the workers' union, Starbucks Workers of the World United, ahead of time about the closures, thereby denying the union the opportunity to bargain. According to National Labor Board, whatever that is. I don't care. Spokesperson Matthew Hayward, Reuters reported. Hayward stated that the National Whatever Board wants to force Starbucks to reopen the locations, rehire the employees, provide those workers with lost pay and benefits, and bargain with the union. F that. Yeah. No, hard no. That's ridiculous. Just no. Nope. Starbucks wanted to close it. Go screw yourself. Starbucks Workers of the World United represents 340 of the company's locations within the U.S. The National Labor Board contended that Starbucks intentionally enclosed the locations to prevent workers from unionizing. Who cares? This case will be reviewed by a judge in the summer of 2024, unless the company agrees to a settlement before then, the New York Times reported. On Thursday, the coffee chain released a new report requested by its shareholders detailing its labor practices. The report, prepared by an independent consultant, found no evidence of an anti-union playbook or instructions or training about how to violate U.S. laws. Well, okay. Yeah, but I don't think you're going to find, did you get the handbook on how to shut her down based on if it's unionizing or not? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay. Starbucks Workers United spokesperson Marie Cosgrove told the New York Post that the federal government's lawsuit further confirms that the company is determined to illegally oppose workers organizing. It adds to the litany of complaints detailed in the company's own report released this morning. If Starbucks is sincere in its overtures in recent days to forge a different relationship with its partners, this is exactly the kind of illegal behavior it needs to stop. What happened to Starbucks being so woke? What happened to that whole thing? We're so woke. Oh, yeah, now we're closing down stores because that whole union thing, that ain't going to work for us. No can do. A spokesperson for Starbucks told the Post, each year as a standard course of business, we evaluate the store portfolio to determine whether we can best meet our community and customers' needs. This is corporate 101 nonsense speech. This includes opening new locations, identifying stores in need of investment or renovation, exploring locations where an alternative format is needed, and in some instances, reevaluating our footprint. I'm going to need to reevaluate our footprint. I'm going to need to reevaluate your footprint within my company. Off the record, I will be doing that with somebody in one of my companies today. Yeah, I'm going to need to reevaluate your position, your footprint within my company, meaning I am going to release you to an opportunity where you can explore your own self-betterment. How about that? You're fired. The National Whatever Board declined to comment, the Post reported. In July, A judge ruled that Starbucks had illegally shut down a unionized location in Ithaca, New York. The company is appealing the judge's decision. What's going to happen here? How is this going to go down? Starbucks just going to duke it out and figure it out? I see this whole unionizing thing, and if a company wants to push back on that, it's within their right to do so, right? Yeah, it is. I have thought when I see these stores being shut down, Starbucks being shut down, and you see kind of the pushback, hey, was this because of the whole unionizing thing? It does make you wonder, right? I mean, just intuitively, you're like, are they doing that because of that? But then you look at the locations, and if you Google most of these store locations, you will come up with instance after instance after instance of just some crazy stuff going on, right? It's not unlike Target. Target isn't giving us the full story either when they're shutting down the 9 stores most recently. You've got Washington State, you've got Oregon, New York, California. You've got this situation where they're stating we're shutting these stores down. Number one, because they're not performing. And number two, they're not performing because you got all kinds of shoplifting going on. And you've just got basic safety shenanigans happening where we don't feel comfortable keeping these businesses open. And I went and looked at the 2 in Seattle that Target is closing down. Same deal. The stores themselves are okay. The Starbucks on, I think it was 3rd or 4th Avenue that they shut down because of unionization. The store itself was fine, right? But the location, you're just like, good Lord, how does anybody survive here? It's like Piroshki. She is, I think she is running for city council, or she ran for city council. I can't remember. But, like it's like a Russian bakery. It's supposed to be just delicious. I've never been in there. I should. They've got numerous locations, but it is literally half a block down on the Blade. I mean, it's right there, front and center. And they've opened and closed a few times, but she has been wildly open about, if we don't get greater police presence here, we cannot continue to stay open because we've got so many whacked out, drug addicted, homeless folks coming in here and just abusing our employees, abusing our management, abusing our customers. It's like Starbucks taking out the entire eat-in facility. Yep. No, you guys got to take your coffee and get the F out of the store, because when we have tables inside the store, that's when the homeless, come in and do their shenanigans. And so Starbucks is saying no, because Starbucks has gone that full circle of, nope, you can't be in here if you're not a paying customer, to our restrooms are open to everybody. Everything's wide open, to, we're going to have to close those stores. And about that whole open restaurant, that, not so much. You just can't run these businesses with the tomfoolery going on. You've just got crime going on willy-nilly, and corporate has the right to say closed. And so now, obviously we're having the blame get placed on, but they were unionizing, or they had already formed a union and they were going to form a union, and you guys are going down that road. We'll see how this one goes. But the United States government forcing Starbucks? No, I would say hell to the no on that one. But you know what? It's 2023. Anything is possible. Some of the crazy stuff I've seen this past year, or since 2020, the crazy stuff I have seen, I thought I would never see. And yet, you just read it, and I podcast on it, and it's like, is this really happening? Has it really gotten that bad? Like the last podcast I just recorded, my office manager stopped on in and talked to her. I hadn't talked to her in a little bit. We usually email or text. And she was pumped because she's a huge Los Angeles Dodgers fan. And she was saying, they just got, the $700 million player, and the San Francisco baseball team, the Giants, didn't get him, even though LA and San Fran had identical offers on the table. But everybody's saying, well, San Fran's not getting it just because the state of the city is so bad. I mean, it's one of those things where like, is it really that bad? And the answer is yes. San Fran, the reputation and the look and everything else is so bad that a big time baseball player that can command 700 million is saying, yeah, I'm going to take LA instead. And LA is not without its, with its warts, shall we say, right? It's got its own version of shenanigans going on. But would you have thought, and the answer is absolutely 100% yes. Would you have thought that in 2023, San Francisco would get this bad? And if you've been following the storyline at all, the answer is yes. But say 25 years ago, would you have guessed just how bad it's gotten? I would say probably not. So Starbucks closing some stores, that is, especially you look at the locations again. I mean, these are the poster children for blue cities that have gone wildly sideways. Seattle, Philly, LA, Portland, and Chicago. Throw in New York City in there and you've got a partridge in a pear tree, right? That's my Christmas reference for the, is that a Christmas reference? I don't even know. Partridge in a pear tree. Speaking of the Partridge family, Danny Bonaduce, he retired from KZOK here in Seattle today. He retired today, Friday, December the 14th, I believe we are. Is that right? 15th, 16th? No, 15th. We're December the 15th. My son Brennan, who's no longer with us, his birthday is on the 17th, Sunday. That'll be a tough day. But Danny Bonaduce retired. That guy was great. He fought Jose Canseco, about half his size, literally, and didn't go down. Didn't win the fight, but Jose Canseco at 6'2", roided up 240. Danny Bonaduce, 5'6", 130 on a heavy day, whatever he was. But yeah, that's my Seattle story I'm going to throw in, along with Starbucks closing down some stores, the federal government being called in, make them open up. Is that going to happen? I sure hope not, because if it does, that opens up a whole can of worms for a bunch of other situations to happen, doesn't it? But again, I go back to 2023, soon to be 2024. Anything could happen, right? Get that right, Judge? Oh, yeah. Crazy times. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.